Welcome to this episode of HCA Talks Health. I'm Zena, and today with me is Catherine Shelton. So, Catherine is a mentor for HCA, and she's also the curriculum development coordinator. But what not everyone necessarily knows about Catherine is that she's also a certified health coach, and she works with clients from all across the world. And she particularly loves to help women who are struggling with perimenopausal symptoms. And she helps them to take control of their health again so they can really feel calm and confident throughout this valuable time of transition. So, welcome, Catherine. It's a real big joy to have you on the show.
Thank you, Zena. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Catherine, I'm curious, where did all of this start for you? Why did you decide to pursue a career in health coaching?
Yes, very good question.
Yes.
Because that's not my background at all. I'm not a medical professional at all. I was a secondary school maths teacher.
Wow.
But then my family and we moved overseas. We actually moved to Russia. We lived in Russia in some very remote area for about 11 years. And it was while I was out there that I started to develop some health issues myself. So some stomach pains, some gut issues. Eventually, I was diagnosed with IBS when I was back in England for a short time. But kind of sent back to Russia with like, here's the FODMAP diet, off you go, good luck, And I was really left to my own devices. And so I had to do a lot of research myself. We were miles away from any sort of reliable healthcare where we were. So I did a lot of research online, read books, listened to podcasts, sort of got information. And just the more I delved into this whole world of health and wellness, the more passionate I got about it and realized there's so much that we can do ourselves to, get better health. And, that actually what we eat, what we put into our bodies makes such a massive difference. And just beginning to see that connection was really, really interesting for me. So I started having this passion for health and wellness, and then we came back to the UK, and I was homeschooling my kids at the time, but I knew that was going to come to an end at some point because there was a plan to put them all into secondary school when they got to that age. And so I was beginning to think, well, what do I want to do next? I don't really want to go back into teaching in schools because I didn't really enjoy that. But I had this passion about health and wellness. Maybe there's something along those lines that I could do. And then I heard about health coaching and, as a career, and I thought that's perfect because it fits in with my family life. I have 4 kids, so very busy at home, but, I could be flexible. I could work from home. I could set my own hours, and I could do something that I really enjoy and am passionate about. So I trained to become a health coach and went from there.
So it's more than just, yes, of course, you're interested in health and wellness, but it's also about the flexibility and the quality of life that it can offer you in terms of your family life. I think that's a really great combination. So you focus on specifically on clients with menopause, right? So why did you decide to focus on that very niche area?
Yeah. Yes, I think like most people, I started off just being very general. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to focus in on. So I got a lot of experience just having anybody kind of come to me with anything. As health coaches, we can help anyone really.
Yeah.
But then I noticed that a lot of the people that were coming to me were women around, menopausal age, struggling particularly with unexpected weight gain, not knowing what to do with it. Menopausal symptoms that they perhaps hadn't even realized were connected with the menopause. And then of course myself and my friends, we're of that age going through it ourselves. And so just when I'm out with my friends, it's kind of what comes up in conversation. And so I wanted to kind of, do more research about it, find out more about it just for myself as well. And felt this would be a great area to focus in on. It's something that is quite a hot topic, excuse the pun, at the moment.
Yes.
And just women becoming more and more aware of what's going on with their bodies and the things that they can do to help themselves transition through this stage well and come out the other end. So yeah.
And it seems like there's quite a lot that they can do, right?
Oh,
To support
absolutely.
themselves. Mm.
Yes, absolutely. So as a health coach, I'm not a medical professional. So I don't say to someone, yes, take HRT or don't take HRT. It's completely up to my clients which way they want to go on that. But I'm here very much to support them in the things that they can do, which is, looking at their nutrition, looking at their lifestyle, particularly stress is a big thing for our age group. So there's a lot of things that I can help them implement from a health coaching point of view, working alongside what they've already decided to do with their doctors, whether they're on medication or not.
I've seen on your website that you offer them a program and that this program consists of 3 elements, and
Mm.
that's cleanse, calm, and confident. So can you
Yes.
share a little bit more on, what each of these areas are and how you support your clients with these
Yeah.
three
So
elements?
so I like things that begin with the same letter. So I actually have behind the cleanse, calm, and confident a 6 S's, things that begin with S. So in the cleanse section, that's what we start off with first. We start off with supporting detox pathways. So looking at nutrition, particularly looking at ways that we can support the liver to detox, because often, this time when women are going through perimenopause, hormones are out of balance. We have high levels of estrogen, low levels of progesterone, and then the estrogen drops. And the liver is the organ that's doing a lot of the kind of detoxifying of this excess estrogen that's going through our body. And, lots of the time our lifestyle is not supporting our liver to be able to do its work properly. So helping women to recognize that. So that does involve taking out or removing to some extent things like alcohol and caffeine and sugar and processed foods, kind of really trying to reduce those, but also adding in some really helpful beneficial things that's going to help the liver, like, the brassica family, broccoli and kale and cabbage and beetroot and lemon and garlic and all those things that the liver loves, lots of fiber, lots of phytonutrients to really help our body kind of detoxify these hormones, the excess hormones that are going on. So that's the first stage, is to help them look at nutrition and find ways just to up level that. So it's never about counting calories or going on a diet or anything. It's just, how can we sort of up level your nutrition and help you really support your body through what it's going through. So that's the first S. And then the second S is sugar balancing. So, at this stage of life, unfortunately, the hormone insulin is playing a big role in particularly with weight gain in menopausal women, because insulin is a weight fat storage hormone. And as we get older, we do tend to become more insulin resistant. So it's just helping women to become a little bit more aware of the amount of sugar that they're eating, how it's affecting their blood sugar levels, particularly being on this roller coaster all day. And how to sort of start to dampen that down a bit. So looking at ways to reduce processed sugar, looking at things that we can do in terms of always having protein with your meals, maybe reducing the number of snacks so you're not constantly, getting extra insulin into your system. So that's another area. So that's cleanse, that's looking at particularly nutrition. So that's what we start with. And then we move on to calm, because alongside insulin and the hormones, another thing that's particularly very high for women at this stage is cortisol. Very, very stressed. We're going about busy lives, often women in their late 40s, early 50s. You've got growing kids at home, but you also might have aging parents, and you're trying to hold down a career, a full-time career, and there's so much going on. And just obviously our busy world, it's very, very easy just to be chronically stressed and perhaps not even notice it. But that does have a knock-on effect on our hormones. And so we do need to get cortisol under control, not just because it's also, increasing the weight gain, but also because if our adrenal glands are pumping out cortisol and adrenaline all the time, then they're not producing progesterone, which is that nice calming hormone that we need. So we look at ways of managing stress, which is really, really, really important, and also sleep. So that's the fourth S. So we've got stress management and sleep hygiene. So looking at ways to improve relaxation, to get better night's sleep, to prioritize sleep, just, to be able to calm the body down and reduce the cortisol levels. So that's the calm section. And then finally, we have confidence. So a couple of things we look at there. So we have strength building, strength training, because I find that a lot of women, as they go through menopause, they see the extra weight coming on and they're like, oh no, I've got to go to the gym more. I've got to,
Yeah.
sort of be on the treadmill. And actually that's not helping. That's just raising their cortisol levels. What they really need to be doing is more strength training. So strength training is really important for a number of reasons. One is we want to be stronger as we age because we do lose muscle, and it's really important that we maintain that muscle as we get older, because you don't want to be too frail, obviously, when you get to old age. But also by building muscle, we're providing more places for the body to store the glucose rather than in the fat cells. So we look at different ways of adding in more strength training. So it doesn't necessarily mean joining a gym, just getting some weights at home, doing that more regularly. And then the final S, to do with confidence, is just stepping into a better vision of yourself, just reframing what menopause is all about. We find that countries, particularly like Asian countries that have a really positive view of old age, we find that women suffer fewer menopausal symptoms. So just, getting women to almost be excited about this new stage of life that they're entering into, this kind of being released from the kind of nesting and nurturing kind of side of their life to, suddenly this is an age at which many women go off and start new businesses, get new jobs, have time for themselves to take up new hobbies and skills, and just being able to reframe that as something positive, is really, really helpful. So that's the final S.
Oh wow, it's such a comprehensive program. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So how long is this journey that you support
So
someone for?
usually 6 sessions, but then my clients have the option of continuing for another 6 sessions, or having, extra, just sort of meet up with me once a month just to keep things ticking
Yes,
over kind of
of
sessions.
course.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's quite interesting. One of the last things that you've mentioned is the perception that we have of aging, right? And the impact that has on menopausal symptoms. That's huge, right? And there's so many countries that have a positive view of us aging, but also just the approach they take with the senior citizens and how they treat them and how they approach them, right? And I find that
Absolutely.
the elderly they've got so much wisdom, they've got so much to still add to society. I'm not referring to the menopausal women. I mean, of course they're still part of the buzzing society, but I mean even your really senior citizens, the way we perceive them is so important, because in many cases we just kind of shove them to the side and put them in some aging home somewhere side of
Yes.
the city, and we don't really, we're not in contact with them as many other
No.
cultures are. Yeah.
Yes, it's so important. So like I said, we lived in Russia for many years, in the south of Russia, in a very different kind of cultural context, where the grandparents lived in with the family,
Mm,
and they weren't just put off in some care home somewhere, but they lived with the family, and there was a massive respect for your elders. If
yes.
an older person walked down the street, you were never to walk in front of them. If you were sitting down, you had to get up out of your seat as a sign of respect.
Yes.
We just don't have that here in our culture here in the UK.
Mm-mm.
And in fact, if you look at the history of menopause, menopausal women were kind of, originally thought of as either being witches back in the Middle Ages,
Wow.
or sort of in Victorian times, put into mental asylums. That's how they were treated.
Wow.
That, this kind of, moving into old age was not a revered process, and we need to change that around.
Absolutely. No, that's very important. So what type of coaching is it? Is it mostly one-on-one coaching? Do you work with one-on-one clients? Do you also sometimes do groups or corporate talks? What else do you do?
Yes, it's almost entirely one-on-one, because that fits around my family life. So I do on Zoom one-to-one sessions with my clients. I have done some coaching, like group coaching sessions, also online with several people at the same time. That works really well. I do also run an in-person annual retreat at a local retreat center, but that's not necessarily menopausal specific. That's more kind of general health coaching. But I do really enjoy doing those weekend retreats in
Yes.
person. Yes, those are lovely.
But I can imagine as a health coach, it's quite fulfilling to take someone through that journey. Um,
It is, yes.
so
Just, I
what would you
mean,
say? What would you say is the parts that you most enjoy about that and about being a health coach?
yeah, I think particularly just seeing the transformation that people can go through, and how much happiness and joy it brings them, and also the ripple effect that it has. So I think of one particular lady who was a client of mine. We worked together, and she got really excited about the nutrition side of things and eating more healthily. And she was a single mum with a teenage daughter. She got her daughter involved, and just the two of them really bonded over these healthy meals. And that was just so lovely to see that she was kind of passing that down to the next
Yeah.
generation.
Yeah.
And then I had another client who she was European but living in Nigeria, and just had never really equated her symptoms with menopause, and was just having this massive aha moment about this. Oh my goodness, I had no idea. And she started like spreading the news around the local community where she lived, and she's now kind of running workshops herself. And again, it's that ripple effect. It's not just the transformation that you see in people's lives, it's just knowing that you're actually making a difference in many more people's lives because of it.
Yes.
It's so rewarding.
And just to know that, yes, you could completely change someone's quality of life, right, as
Yes,
a health coach
absolutely.
to support them and even the people around them, like you said, their kids, the next generations. It truly
Mhm.
is like a ripple effect.
It is, yes.
So I'm sure that there are some challenging parts as well of being a health coach. What are the challenges that you experience?
Yeah. I think it comes down to sort of people's perception of the value of health coaching. So I know how amazing it is and how transformational it can be, and I've had many clients who've seen huge progress. But it's trying to get that message out to people. So sometimes I have people who are referred to me by like an HR department or something. They're not really invested in it, and they're not really putting their all into it, and so they don't actually get a lot of results, because it really does depend on the client really putting in the time, putting in the effort. We can only do so much as coaches, and so sometimes I find that really difficult to kind of see there's so much potential that someone could be experiencing here, but they're just not invested in it enough. And also there are other people who I talk to, and I think, oh, I'd love to, help you with health coaching. And, I'm just thinking of all the different things that we could do together. But, the money is, a big thing for them. They just don't want to invest that in their health. And partly that's something in the UK. We're not used to paying for healthcare in the UK.
Mm,
So it's something that's having to change. But partly that's just people not really realizing, I think, how much of an amazing thing it is to go through the health coaching process
mm.
and put all these new habits in place and the difference it can make in their lives. So that it's just frustrating to kind of
Yes.
that people don't realize that. I think that that's one of the most difficult things about being a health coach. I want to kind of shout it from the rooftops, this is an amazing thing. Why aren't you all flocking to health
Yes,
coaches, and why doesn't everyone have their own health coach? But it's just creating that
absolutely.
awareness, isn't it?
Yes, I agree. But also what you said, it needs to be a choice. The person
Yes.
needs to be ready. I've also seen that in
Yeah.
my own practice when
Yeah.
a mom tells her daughter to come see me, but the daughter didn't make the choice herself. She doesn't
Exactly.
necessarily want to be there, or she doesn't realize that she needs it
Exactly.
so,
Yes.
so much. So I think yes, that's important. The person should kind of be, yeah, committed, right?
Mm,
And it's a personal choice for them to be part of this journey. So that's very
exactly.
important.
Exactly.
So was it difficult for you to build up your practice to where it is today? Was it a difficult journey in terms of marketing yourself, getting yourself out there? What was the journey like?
Mm. Yes, I mean, it does take time. It's not something that happens overnight for most people. So where I started was I was already employed with an organization, and I told them about, me being a certified health coach. And so the HR department started referring people to me.
Mm,
So basically on a very, very low cost kind of pro bono basis. So that was a way that I could really sort of get to help people, and they didn't have to invest too much money from their point of view, but I was able to gain experience, get testimonials, and
mm,
then they started referring friends and family. So that was a great way to
yeah,
get started. So even though sort of financially it wasn't bringing in much in the beginning, it was just
mm,
yeah, helping me sort of gain confidence and get those testimonials, but also from the referrals that came later. And then one of the big breakthroughs I had was with this wellness retreat that I did. So I actually was just at the retreat center myself, just having some time out myself. And I approached the retreat center manager and said, "Oh, I'm just interested to know, how much do you charge to hire out your rooms in case I wanted to ever run like a webinar here or something, or, like a sort of a workshop.
Yeah.
And I explained what I did. I left my card, and he was like, oh, I'm not really sure that would work, but, give us your card and anything. So I didn't think any more of it. And then a week later, I got a call. Yeah, so they phoned me and they said that they were, wanting to expand what they offered to include health and wellness, and that I just happened to be the right person in the right place at the right time. And
Fantastic.
so they offered me the chance to do a whole weekend, even though I'd never done that before. They were willing to kind of take me on. So it was Friday to Sunday, 7 different sessions. I think the first time there were about 25 people there. And that was great. And then they've since booked me in yearly. It's a yearly thing it's become now.
Wow, that's
But off the back of
huge.
that, I was just saying that, I got extra clients from some of the people who were there who wanted to continue with me. So they sort of went on board to be clients afterwards. But also some people that had seen the retreat advertised weren't able to come, but had contacted me through my website because they'd seen it advertised. So that was just a really great way to get clients as well.
Oh, wow. So did they get most of the participants to join? Was
Yeah,
it
so
the
they did all
marketing?
the
Oh,
yeah, they did all the advertising. They dealt with all the bookings, the accommodation. I had a long conversation with the chef about the kinds of things that we would serve food wise. So they made the whole weekend like plant-based with like healthy snacks, and they really enjoyed kind of going to town with making it healthier. But I didn't have to actually do the catering myself. They did all of that. So all I really had to do was show up and just deliver the
wow.
talks and chat with people. So it was, yeah, it was amazing.
And
And
now
like I
it's an
said,
annual thing. It's an
and now
annual
it's an
thing.
annual thing. Yes. So
Wow. So you never know, right? You just
you
it's
never
like a
know.
conversation. You just had a conversation with a guy, told him about what it is that you do, and you're taking a chance. Are they going to say
Exactly.
yes or no? You never know. But
You never know.
this is such a great example of how putting yourself out there, having conversations about what it is that you do,
Yeah,
could be a huge breakthrough in business.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So, so your focus is menopause, right? So I just want to get an idea of how could menopause be impacting you? So I think there's the obvious symptoms, the hot flashes, but what are some of the other symptoms where women might not necessarily know, oh wow, it's because of the menopause that I'm experiencing XYZ. Anything
Mm.
that you could share with us on that?
Yes, I think probably things around mental health, actually. There's a lot of symptoms that are shown to be menopausal symptoms, such as anxiety, low self-esteem, low mood, mood swings, possibly sort of anger, the other way. Just feeling a lack of confidence. Like women often suddenly they might have been doing a job for years and years and years, and suddenly they feel completely like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I here? Just a lack of confidence. And then, often with sleep disturbances as well, it can really affect people's mental health. And I think only now are the kind of, medical doctors beginning to realize that, because so often women will go to the doctor and explain these symptoms and they might end up being put on antidepressants. Whereas actually what they really need is help with menopause, possibly HRT or whatever. I did, had a chat with one lady who was actually, her mental health was so bad, she was suicidal, literally. And it wasn't until a friend suggested maybe it's menopause, she went on HRT and everything just turned around completely. That was the missing key, and the doctors hadn't recognized it. Nothing against doctors at all, but there are these symptoms that people don't normally associate with menopause. Actually, that's what's going on. And for myself personally, I was struggling with headaches in my early 40s, which the doctor just put down to stress headaches and gave me some tablets, which didn't really help. But looking back now, I can see that was the beginning of perimenopausal symptoms for me. I can definitely see the connection, but it wasn't on my radar early 40s. I think that's the other thing, is that women don't realize, you think of menopause as something you go through in your 50s and that you don't need to think about it until then. But actually the statistics are that 1 in 100 women will go through menopause before they get to the age of 40, and 1 in 1,000 will go through menopause before the age of 30.
Wow.
And it's not even on our radar when we're not taught about it at school. We don't talk about it with our friends, until we get to our mid 40s. But So it's just, when these symptoms start coming up, women, we're not kind of thinking, oh, maybe this is menopausal. We're not trained to think that way. So yeah, it's really interesting.
And I think that's really a great position to be in as a health coach, right? To be able to look at the bigger picture. We're not just zoning in on this one area and this symptom that someone is experiencing. We're not just treating the symptom. We're really listening out for what's going on, looking at their whole life, and all these different elements that might be that we need to consider. Right.
Yes, I think that was one of the things that propelled me into health coaching was when I went to the doctor about my headaches. He was a lovely guy, but just gave me some, he said, oh, you're a mother of 4 children, of course, it's stress headaches. Here's some tablets. And what I wanted him to say was, okay, let's look at how can you, get rid of your stress? How can you manage your stress better?
Yeah.
That's what I really wanted. But obviously he didn't have time. They don't have time, doctors. But a health coach does have time. A health coach has time to help you look at your life, look at where you're spending your time. How can you get more me time? How can you reduce your stress? How can you get extra help? And if I'd had a health coach at that stage, it would have been really, really beneficial for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. So do you have any maybe last words of wisdom, or someone thinking about signing up for a health coaching course, any prospective health coaches out there?
Yeah, if you're thinking about it, definitely explore it more, because it's such a rewarding career to have. And you can, put as much time into it as you want to. For me, it's a part-time thing. I'm not a full-time health coach. I have a job with HCA, obviously. And it's just, works flexibly around my family, which is great. Others, it is a full-time career. So it can definitely work for you. Look at, listen to podcasts, this podcast, look at other health coaches, find out what they're doing, find out about the HCA syllabus, what we offer. It's an amazing course. And just the things that you learn while you're going through health coach training, it's personally transformational to yourself as well. There's so much that you get out from it yourself, and then that ripples down to your family too. So even if you're not sure that you want to become a health coach at the end of it, just going through that training is amazing on a personal level as well.
And I also find that's the best way we learn, right, is to experience something for ourselves.
Yes.
And if we've been through a journey like this, we can often support people in a much deeper and more comprehensive way.
Yes, absolutely. And then
Okay,
you
so
find that sorry, I was going to say, you find that you start to, as you're going through the training, you're so excited about everything. You kind of want to tell people, and then you become the go-to person that everyone comes to for, oh, can I ask you about this or this? It's quite fun.
Yes, quite naturally, because it's something you're passionate about. It's something that often comes up at socials in any case, right? People talk about their health. So it's quite an easy way to also introduce what it is that you do, and people talk about that. Okay, so Catherine, where can listeners find you if they want to find out more about your program?
Yeah, so I'm at catherineshelton.com. So nice and easy, catherineshelton.com. That's my website.
Okay. Are you also on social media?
Yeah, not so much nowadays. So I am on Instagram and Facebook at Catherine Shelton Health, Catherine Shelton Coaching, Catherine Shelton Coaching. But I haven't been doing quite so much on that recently. But yeah, my website's probably the best place to contact me.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to chat with us today. And thank you for allowing us to get a glimpse of what your life looks like, working as a health coach, but also working for HCA. And we can really see how big of an impact health coaching is making out there. So thank you for sharing that with us today.
You're welcome. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you, Zina.
If you have a passion for health and wellness, and you would like to make a difference in the lives of others and discover a new rewarding career in health and well-being coaching, visit www.healthcoachesacademy.com to find out more.